Why did you choose to write about Judas?
Two reasons really. One is that having spent the last 40 odd years standing in church every Easter listening to the Gospels and hearing Judas mentioned, I just always felt he was a more intriguing figure than the Gospels possibly, or the teaching of the church gave him the possibility to be. So I wanted to know more about him. Because I don't know, I sort of felt attracted to Judas. I know that sounds awful, but I felt Judas perhaps had got a bit of a rough deal and was...
That's true.
I suppose the question I wanted to ask was he flawed like all of us? Is
exactly.
A little tiny bit of Judas in all of us?
That's
and
true.
the second reason was that it's just a word that you hear used all the time. You know, Christianity often is so marginalised, but here is a figure from the Gospels who is part of common speech.
That's true.
I just wondered whether,
so
are we using the name Judas properly, or are we getting it all wrong? So I suppose that was the starting point.
Yes. Thank you, Peter. So, what is your favourite artwork depicting Judas in your book, and why?
My favourite artwork depicting Judas is Lawrence Whistler's window in St Nicholas Church in Dorset, in Morton, in Dorset.
That's the last chapter, isn't it?
It's the last chapter of the book, and it was a window that Whistler, who was a very famous glass engraver, probably the most famous glass engraver of the 20th century, he gave it as a gift to this church, but they had a real problem putting it in. So for 30 years they thought it was too awful to put a Judas window in. And finally in 2014 they put the window in. And what's wonderful about the window, his image of Judas is an everyman. He's dressed in every man's clothing. And as he hangs from the rope and the 30 pieces of silver drop from his pocket, when they land on the ground, they sprout up as flowers. And it seems to me this is Judas redeemed.
It is.
Because I believe very passionately that what Christianity teaches us is that everyone is redeemable, everyone is forgivable. I rather like the fact that Judas, that this is an artwork that forgives Judas.
Would you be interested in writing about other characters in the Bible, and if so, whom?
Oh gosh, there's a subject.
That's a tough question.
Well, I think the obvious ones have all been written about very well, and not at the moment. I think is probably
okay. That's a good answer.
I think there are so many good books already about Anne Ray's book about Pontius Pilate. So many books about Jesus. I suppose what I'm interested in, probably this says something terrible about me. I'm interested in the slightly unsavoury characters, and I suppose Judas appeals to me in that way too.
Yes. What is your favourite book you're currently reading, and why?
Several novels. Colin Tabbine's Nora Webster.
Oh right. Oh yes, absolutely.
One of the most wonderful books I've read for a long, long time.
He's a great writer. Yes.
Absolutely perfect. The book that had the biggest impact on me as I read recently, and hopefully is on sale in this bookshop, is Lilla by Marilyn Robinson.
Oh yes, we have sold it. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It is. Yes.
The best religious novelist, or novelist writing about religion at the moment. And I suppose I also ought to add, partly because he's here this evening, Michael Arditi as well.
Ah, right. Yes.
Who's written some absolutely wonderful novels, exploring ideas. And it's pretty rare that people do that in novels anymore. And I'm someone who likes to explore my faith, but we can explore it in fiction as well.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Pleasure.
Thank you
very much for having me.
Thank you.